Hello, welcome everybody. Welcome to this beautiful session on befriending death, embracing life with Reena, Ginwala and Wendy Haynes. Oh, I've got goosebumps. This is such an exciting session. My name's Kate and I'm here to be as much tech support as I can to Wendy and Reena and also to each of you. So please at any point contact me in the chat if you would like any support, and most of all, enjoy the session. Yeah, so I'm handing over to you, Reena and Wendy.
Thank you. Well, a very warm welcome to everyone. Ginigay. Ginigay is a very warm welcome from Gumbaynggirr country, where I'm based and play here in the east coast of Australia. And it is a joy to be here. But before we start, I'd really like to pay respect to the Indigenous people on this unceded country of Gumbaynggirr and pay my respect to the elders past, present, and those emerging, the young ones that are coming through with their stories and their wisdom. So we're going to have a beautiful session together. We're going to have some music, some time for reflection, for turning inwards, more music, more meditation, and I'm very excited to be here with Reena. So I'd love to hand over to Reena.
Yeah, thank you, Wendy. Yeah, I'm here, and there's so much joy and passion and reverence, in a sense, to what we have brought together around death, so that we may embrace life. Especially in COVID times, all of us have a close kind of a relationship with the possibility, and it's an opportunity to engage with that. What does it mean? So I'm very happy that Wendy and I chose this topic, and we have our buddy Kate here helping us with tech support, and some faces in the room which I recognize and so celebrate our connections, and new faces as well. Thank you so much for being here, all of you. Yeah. Moving on.
And we'd like to pay respect to the traditions that we bring here today. The traditions of our practices. So for me, it's a lot of the mindfulness practices that I bring, and also my teachers, Catherine Cadden and Jessie Weems-Chu, who you'll see throughout the program, we're bringing in a lot of the nonviolent communication. And for Reena, it's honouring the land of Kabir and the oral history that is that. Would you like to speak to that, Reena?
Yes. It's, my journey with Kabir started from in the village where he would have walked, Varanasi, central India, and being in the midst of folk musicians and, satsangis. So really immersing into the living tradition that is so thriving in India around Kabir. So I am really praying for the blessings to flow into this space for us to, explore together. Yeah, thank you, Wendy.
Yes, and for me, it's also the many experiences I've had. Many of you will know that I'm a funeral celebrant and have been for 25 years. And my very first funeral ceremony was with a young woman who we did our home birth midwifery training together. And so I've had this opportunity to really engage in the sort of welcoming to the world and saying farewell to the world. In the last couple of years, in the last 3 years, I've been running death and dying programs. So I'm also honouring all the people that I've worked with, both the families that are still living and the people that have died. And so just honouring the courage we have to work together and have these difficult conversations. So yes, the invitation is to be really curious this evening, really bring your mindful presence and if you've got any questions, please write them in the chat. So we're going to start first up with a beautiful chant, a bhajan, and I'd just like Reena to speak to that one before we sit back and listen to it for a moment.
Thank you. This bhajan, Kabir uses a lot of metaphors in his insights and stories that he shared. And this bhajan is one in which Kabir speaks to our life, our human birth, as a fabric that is very fine, So we are all given this fine fabric to start our journey on this earth with. And it is woven with divine energy, with the 5 elements. It's like a lotus flower, and there's a sense of spinning, like a journey, like movement of energy flowing in and out. And it takes 9 to 8, 10 months to make when we are, in our mother's womb. And Kabir says that this fine cloth, that is the Chadariya, we receive it, and then first thing we do is soil it straight away. I mean, it's an observer's view. I would say Kabir is not being mean, or, it's an observation that he's sharing with us. And, so there is this translation, but let's not delve too much into that right now. There's a sense of the fabric, and through this session, we will be, coming back to the metaphor. So I want to just say the words in Hindi, Chadariya, jhini re jhini. Ram nam rasbini, Chadariya, jhini re jhini. Mukhtiyar Ali, who lives in Rajasthan in India, sings this bhajan. And, there's a beautiful sense of this music, even if you don't know the words or the meaning. I mean, the meaning and the language is different. Seeing him singing with his team members, his satsangis, I'm sure, let's see what comes up for you. So Wendy, could you play the song, please? It's about 4.5 minute song. Just be comfortable, take a deep breath, and let's go on this journey.
Chadariya, jhini re jhini. Chadariya, jhini re jhini. Hey Ram naam rasbini. Chadariya, jhini re jhini. Hey Ram, Ram, Ram. Hey ji Ram naam rasbini. Chadariya, jhini re. Chadariya, jhini अष्ट कमल दल चरखा चाले, कमल दल चरखा चाले, ये पांचों रंग की पूनी। अष्ट कमल दल चरखा चाले, अष्ट कमल कमल अष्ट कमल दल चरखा चाले पांचों रंग की नौ दस मास बनन को लागे 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 मूरख मेली कीनी चदरिया रसुदीनी चदरिया जद मोरी चादर बन घर आई ये धुबियन के धर दीनी चदरिया धुबियन के धर दीनी चदरिया जद मोरी चादर बन घर आए जद मोरी चादर बन घर आई ये धुबियन के धर दीनी फटकारो शिला पर दे फटकारो जी सूरत शिला पर दे फटकारो शिला पर दे फटकारो शिला पर दे फटकारो इस बिद निर्मल कीनी चदरिया झीनी रे झीनी है राम है जी राम नाम रसुदीनी चदरिया झीनी रे
Yeah. What comes up for you? Love to hear some voices. How did this music and the person, the scene from the reality from the villages in India, how does it touch you in the moment? I heard Abhigya, it reminded you of your hometown. Yeah, Joe. Please.
I just wanted to say I'm feeling a vibrancy in the whole of my body, a vitality. And I think that I really feel it from how he expressed. So facially, his eyes and his strength in his voice. Yeah, a quality of radiance.
And you know, when he's singing Ram Nam, it's Ram Ras. It is the divine energy that he's talking about. It's not this person who is considered God or, you know, historical person, but it's the divine energy. So you felt it. Yeah.
Hi, it's Ankia, and it just brought India and Nepal back to me, my travels in the past, and the earthiness that I felt there, and the rightness and the connection that people have with life. So that all came back, some really primordial, earthy understanding of what life is about. That's what I felt. It was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, Joe. Is there more,
I want
Joe?
to acknowledge that I also had a little bit of caution around the volume, that I've got sleeping teenagers and an 80-year-old mum who hasn't been to India and may not experience this type of music in the way that I do. So I just felt a bit kind of shy, and I lowered the volume in terms of like, yeah, wanting to kind of respect that people experience music in different ways. So I just wanted to name that.
Thank you so much, Joe, for that awareness and shared reality. And I'm so glad that we have our own volumes that we can, work with on our side. But if there's any way in which we could support you further, please reach out. Thank you so much. Yeah, Bigya. Yeah.
Hi, I love how you're calling me a bigya, and I just realized that nobody else knows that that's my name. I just feel so full of emotion and this belonging and community and sort of like this interconnectedness right now, and how everyone can enjoy and connect to music without not necessarily knowing the meaning and the essence, but the essence of the music. And I feel really close to this because I'm from Rajasthan also, and it just kind of I had like a visual slideshow about the smells and the sights and the people and the warmth, and I feel really homesick.
Yeah. Anyone else? Maybe one or two voices? And Wendy, if you want to also share, or Kate. Yeah. We have time.
For me, it just stirs this, it really evoked that sense of the blanket of, coming in with this freshness and that newness and that sense of innocence that's portrayed through his face and through the music, and knowing the meaning of the song also really touched me in that sense of this is life flowing through us, and we have this blanket, and we'll talk a little bit more about the blanket later on, and what we do with the blanket once we've stained it, and I really honor that, Reena, that literal translation sometimes is not what is really, we've got to go beyond that. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering if someone had a different experience to listening to the music. Everything is most welcome here. Or something you'd like to share.
It could also be about what brings you here, because the title, Befriending Death, Embracing Life, there could be something about that brought you here. When Shaila, are you going to share something? Would you like to, Shaila?
Thank you, Reena. I'm nothing to add right now.
Okay. I just thought, yeah. In the journey of the cloth, our life, our cloth, our body even can be considered to be that fabric. And at one point, he says that, it either gets stained or it gets torn, or from a subtle quality to the fabric, it becomes gross, And to me, that's also the whole life alienating energy of our conditioning, and when we function from fears, we manifest these qualities or characteristics in our body, in our environment, within us, around us. So at some point in this song, Kabir says that, it was sent to the washer person. Maybe at that time it was, the banks of the Ganga or a river nearby or a stream where this cloth was sent to be washed. And what did the washerman do? He kind of just trashed the cloth on a rock, which is a washerman's slab or rock. And this, he says, is the thrashing to bring awareness. So, yeah, the words are Surat Shila par de fatkaro, meaning the rock of awareness. Our life, our body, our cloth, our experience is being, kind of unconditioned, so to speak, with that awareness. So that's something that also is a great reminder for me to know how much I'm being held by the universe, by life itself. Kabir says, don't search outside. Kabira, Kabira, kya karo, khojo aap sarir. Paanch indriya bas mein karo to aap hi das Kabir. Kabir says, what are you saying, Kabir, Kabir, all the time, looking outwards? Just connect with your five senses, and you yourself will connect with the Kabir in you. And that's also awareness and the whole journey of going inwards.
And that's what we're going
Is
to
anything
celebrate.
coming up?
Yeah, that's what we're going to celebrate in this session today. Is one of the tools that Reena and I both share is the nonviolent communication practices. So we're going to turn inwards, because for many people that fear of death, it's often the things that we're telling ourselves, the thoughts that come up, these stains, maybe things we've been told. And so we're just going to do a turning in practice, the self-empathy practice. So just hoping everyone's got a pen and paper handy, and if not, maybe you could sort of grab one now, because you'll need one for this practice rather than using your computer. It's lovely if you can just have some pen and paper handy.
Thank you for that reminder, Wendy. And, the fabric is made of, there's a warp and a waft or waft in the fabric when it's woven. And for me, this lived experience is the weaving of our thoughts and our feelings, So when the warp and the weft is the thought and the feeling, to me, it's also the head and the heart that is available to us, the faculties of the head and the heart. It's available to us. And it also means the conditioning and the natural. If we say that the head also represents the logical mind or the conditioned mind, which jumps around in the past and the future, and the feelings that bring us very much alive to the present. So that again is the nature of the cloth. And there we will now see what does it mean when the nature, when you touch the cloth, when you see a fabric, you instantly want to touch it. And whether the fabric is subtle or gross, depends on our, not that I am blaming myself, but how we are able to use the gifts that we have. So I want to share something about the four feelings. There's something in nonviolent communication that talks about the four feelings, and I will share the list as well. And we'll do the exercise where the four feelings, FAUX, four feelings are the feelings that we say that I feel pressured, I feel misunderstood. These feeling words indicate some kind of an energy that, puts some kind of a blame on the external environment, that somebody did something which is external to me, and even when I say I'm feeling, there is a quality of thought in it, which has some level of judgment or assessment or blame or something. So it doesn't, feelings usually when we connect with our feelings, we feel like alive. And in this, thank you, Wendy. in this case, you know, we feel a little bit like heavy. Yeah. So let's look at these. Some of them. There's a list of 20 around, but let's look at. Remember a time when you felt. So when you remember that time, you can say that I remember saying I felt so misunderstood. I felt so criticized. Or you may even say it now. That yeah, when I remember the conversation that I had, with my team member at work, I feel misunderstood. And knowing that this has a quality of, blame, thought, analysis, let's explore this in the layers. Yeah. So pick one. Let's take a minute or 30 seconds to pick one, connect with something that's your experience. What could be the thoughts in it? Are you hearing voices when you say, yeah, I feel so misunderstood? I mean, nobody cares or nobody understands. It's always me that is to be blamed or something like that. So you can write it down. Maybe we won't be sharing the screen a lot, but this time, at this point for the exercise, I think it supports us.
So all those thoughts that you tell yourself. So it might be I feel misunderstood, but there'll be other thoughts that you're telling yourself that maybe you don't, realize. So taking this time to just really pull them in. I like to sort of imagine that we're catching them by the tail, because all thoughts come and go. But this moment is just like, oh, we're going to turn towards them and bring them in.
So
Wendy?
let's share that list, Wendy.
Okay.
Wendy, your voice
the
is
other
a little
list.
bit soft.
Okay.
I wonder if you could speak up a little bit, if there's any way you can take your voice up a little bit.
Okay, I'll change microphones while Reena talks.
Sure.
That's better.
So as Wendy shared that there are layers of feelings, and what we are trying to do is bring those by exploring, bring those other feelings that might also be there, which when I ask a question, that when I feel misunderstood of one of the four feelings, how do I feel? I think this question, how do I feel when I say I feel misunderstood, brings me to one or two of these. So I invite you to explore with your choice of the four feeling. Ask yourself this question. When I feel left out, how do I feel? Do I feel scared? Do I feel upset? Do I feel helpless? Could you stop sharing the screen, Wendy? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, if you have managed to, be alive to a certain feeling, could you put in chat for our, here's the list in case you need it. And now see how this feeling lives in you, like in this moment, how do you experience it? Are there any body sensations with one of these feelings, like I feel disappointed? Just try and scan your body to sense if there's any message that the body is giving you in the moment.
And you might find it helpful to place your hand just over your heart place while you're connecting with the feelings and with the body. It can be really helpful to sort of get that sense of what's going on in here.
Is it different to be with one of these words? And how is it different from the earlier 4 feeling words? Just notice. This is also an exercise in building our awareness with our body. We use that as a tool to be in the present moment, to be in awareness, in observation. This is also a key point, a step in empathy. How am I feeling right now? And you could also guess, what do I need? When I say I feel left out, I feel scared. What do I need? Is it safety? Is it support? I love that, Joe, your awareness is pointing to ownership of the feeling, because that can be empowering, Even if nothing changes outside, the minute I own my feeling, I feel alive, I feel empowered. There is a natural energy flowing because the feelings indicate the needs, and we believe all energy helps us to some action. Yes. Ankia Kale. I'm glad you resonate with, I realize that ownership of my feelings gives me power. Sure. Yes. And take a deep breath with that. There's nowhere to go. Just take a deep breath with that sense of power that you reclaimed. It's there. You just noticed it. Yeah. I'd like to share the list of needs. Maybe you'll come across some different word that indicates a need. Yes. Wendy, could you share the list of needs, please?
Yes.
And you could also guess them,
Just having a moment here. A moment to breathe.
Breathe.
Okay, here we go.
I'll also put a list of need words in chat. Just notice what do these feelings indicate? And sorry, before, yeah, that's one. Thank you. Are there familiar words and some unfamiliar words? Just saying it also to yourself. Yeah, my feeling of overwhelm connects me to my need, um, you know, for ease and flow in my life. Even naming it,
And that sense of feeling
helps.
alone might connect you to the need to belong, or
Mhm.
a sense of not being heard. You want to, get a sense of being heard, or a need for empathy. Just wondering, Kate, if my volume has improved a little bit. Okay.
It's a little better, Wendy, but it's low compared to Reena. I don't know. Can I just hear from somebody else? Are you experiencing that as well? Or is it just me? Could someone else unmute and?
Yeah, it's a little low, but I can hear you.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
So what we'd love to invite you to do now is, as you're connecting with these needs, is to circle 2 or 3 of them that really resonate in this moment, that really feel like, yes, that's the energy that I want to connect with in my being at this moment. And just have that clearly in front of you so that you can sort of really feel that. And I'd like to guide us through a little practice. It's sort of like we've washed the cloth, we've brought our awareness through the empathy to the the tears and the what's on the cloth, and we're just turning towards it. And this is like holding the cloth once again and really almost like wrapping it around us. So I'd just like to invite you to get into a comfortable place. And if it feels right for you, just softly closing your eyes, or at least look down away from the screen. And we're going to really savor, really enjoy the quality of these needs. In some ways, Robert Gonzalez, the MVC teacher, talks about the beauty of these needs, the sweetness. So we're going to take a moment to experience this. So just taking in a few deep breaths. And just feeling how your body expands and contracts. And noticing as I speak these needs, I'm going to just choose 2 needs that are very universal for all of us, but you might want to include the needs that you've connected with in this practice. But just noticing what the mind says as you hear them, the ones I offer. Belonging. Notice what the mind says as you receive them, and just let the words flow. To matter. And let the even flow of your breath soften your belly. Belonging. To matter. Notice what voices of the mind arise when you hear these needs. Belonging. To matter. Exploring the sensations in your body. Is there tension? Is there resistance? Connection. To matter. Just letting your attention be drawn to whatever sensations are there. Exploring the body patterns that arise. That arise in relation to these needs. What has the mind labelled these needs? Does it call them selfish? Impossible? Belonging? To matter? Just simply noticing the voices of the mind. Maybe there's a frightened voice or a confused voice. Just watching your breath move in and out of your body, this extraordinary life force. Breathing in and breathing out, softening the belly. Watching how naturally each thought comes and goes. Belonging. To matter. Maybe reflect over your words, your need words that came. Just notice the constant unfolding of thoughts. Simply receiving the needs. Needs in this moment, without clinging or condemning, nothing to change. No one to be, nothing to do, just being here. Allowing, receiving, observing, resting into being in this moment, being with your needs. All needs matter. All needs fully alive. And then just softly opening your eyes and moving the body in a way that's comfortable and right for you, and just coming back to the screen. And Reena, did you want to say anything about that practice? Oh, she's gone. So what we're going to invite you to do is we're going to go into a breakout room. Oh, there she is.
There was power cut, but I'm back, yes.
Lovely.
So carry on, Wendy.
Yes. Yeah. So what we'd like to invite you to do is go into a breakout room, and we're going to put you in groups of 2. And we'd like to invite you just to say hello, introduce yourself. If you don't want to do this practice, then maybe you just stay in the main room, and we'll have to juggle a few people around if that's the case. But it's such a lovely way to be with needs in a small practice, and it's going to be a much shorter one. And say hello, introduce yourself, and then share the 2 or 3 needs that you identified, that you really connected with. Share that with your buddy, and then I'd like to invite the buddy to repeat back to you. So if I was with Reena in the room, I'd say to Reena, my 2 needs were to belong and to matter, so belonging and matter. Reena is then going to invite me to just softly close my eyes or look away or look down, and she's just going to speak my needs back to me. She's going to say 1, so belonging, take a breath, repeat the second need, take a breath, maybe repeat the third one, take another breath. So it's a very slow practice, and then she'll say them three times. So it'll be 9. You'll hear 9 words. For the person receiving it, just feel it. There's nothing to do here. Just receive those needs. Notice what comes up in you as you hear those needs words being offered. When Reena has finished sharing the needs words with me, we'll just take 3 breaths together and we'll swap over, and Reena will then tell me her 3 needs words and I'll do the same for her. So I'm hoping that's clear. Does anyone have any questions before we go to the breakout room? Lovely. We were going to give, I think maybe about
6 minutes. 6 minutes, 5 minutes is fine.
5 minutes. So Kate, if you could send a reminder after 2 minutes, and we'll swap over, because it's just a very simple practice to just share those 2 needs. So don't take too long introducing. It can be very exciting meeting people in the breakout rooms. But if you could just say your name, where you're from, and then decide who's going first and share your needs. So thank you. So a very warm welcome back. In one of the death and dying groups that I lead, somebody described being in the breakout rooms on a Zoom call a bit like being told you've got like 30 seconds to live and you're out. You know, it's like you're done, you're finished and you've gone. So sometimes there can be mourning if you didn't get to finish your practice. So I really honour that sense of like, whoa, we're in there and we're out. So just, you know, good practice for letting go. But we'd love to hear from a few people just how it was. And I'm just going to share the screen here. You know, how are you feeling right now? And we'd love to invite you to just pop a few words into the chat. You know, how is this practice touching you, or just how are you right now? And there's just maybe some words here that you can connect with. You know, how was the practice for you? Or maybe you prefer to speak it. If you'd like to speak it, we'd love to hear your voice too. So I hear, yes, tender, happy, affectionate, grateful, a little bit sad that didn't have enough time. I'm touched to hear the needs of care and support and empathy for my partner far away in Rwanda, and instantly connected with my needs for the same. Oh, we were 3 people and just one could say her needs. I'm hearing you, Diana. Yes, that's really challenging. And Sam, nice to have you here. He said surprised. So beautiful to offer. So it is a beautiful practice to come to when we can connect with those needs. And it's a bit like holding that shawl. In one of the groups I've worked with, we did some work together in 2006. We started this group. And unbeknownst to me, a few years later, I was going through a hard time. And in the post arrived this beautiful shawl. It was soft, purple shawl. And in there was a love message saying, this shawl was actually at the very first group that we got together, and it was a face-to-face. And it had been worn in all the meditations we did together. And since that time, it was posted to someone else in the group when they were in need. And then they posted it to someone else in the group that they knew was in need. And, just that sense of this cloth being wrapped in needs of care and belonging and safety. So when I got to receive it and I wrapped it around my shoulders, I just felt that need fulfilled for being cared for, a sense of community, belonging. And so this practice we've just shared, you can ask a friend to just be with you and, connect with the needs together in this way. Just invite someone to speak them to you. And we get to watch where that mind, just gives us a hard time. And we can even come back to that self-empathy practice and, what is it I'm telling myself? When I tell myself that, how does it make me feel? And taking another breath, often connecting our hands to our belly will really touch into the essence of what we need. So it's a beautiful practice to sort of bring into our lives on a regular basis. So Reena, I'd like to, we've got some beautiful cards that Reena has created. So I'd like to invite you to speak to that.
Yes, thank you, Wendy. Yeah. Okay, so here it is. How would it be to face that final journey, which we call dying or death? How would it be to face that from a space of self-connection, self-empathy? And it's not about dying, like physically dying and going, but even in the moment, what do I want to let go of? What do I want to die to so I may live? That's the exploration. And just take a moment to find something. Like for me, I would like to, let go of this, sense that when I voice a concern about garbage in my complex, my voice doesn't matter or I don't matter. So I want to let go of, die to that fear, that disappointment, let go of that sense and have a fresh, in the present moment, feeling maybe of nervousness when I want to share something about garbage. Maybe I can feel nervous, but do I need to carry the fear and the baggage from the past? So for me, Kabir and this wisdom also helps me to look at a larger, kind of a realm of dying. Wendy, would you like to share anything in that context?
Yes, I really get this sense in my life that, part of my practice is both my meditation practices and the nonviolent communication. Or for me, I'm very much engaged with the Ongo work. And I would like to honour Catherine and Jessie for that meditation practice. The needs practice actually comes from their book, Ongo Everyday Nonviolence. So I know Kate's going to pop that into the chat. But this way of being has become my life, and partly it's because I really open to that wanting to die before I die, wanting to really embrace that sense of beingness here, where, if you imagine that beautiful image of a baby, they come in that fresh innocence, and there's that sense of, when we wake in the morning, we've still got that innocence from being in that sleep. When we go to sleep at night, we're quite happy to drop into bed and everything's gone. We completely let go. There's that surrender to just being. Yes, we're not maybe conscious of that, but there's a quality. So, befriending death to me is befriending the letting go. befriending, all that that means. So yes, it's very important to me. It really nourishes me to think of that letting go, and that's what I find this particular practice really brings that responsibility back to me, and I find I can then embrace life more fully because I'm very present then and respond from my needs.
Yeah, finding comfort in that discomfort also, because we're so scared of any discomfort. So maybe even that. And I think we have our breath with us each moment. You just acknowledge that in this moment I'm feeling scared. And then say, what do I need? Oh yeah, I need reassurance. Now I'm feeling relieved, knowing that I have my 3 breaths and a reminder to take them. So let's move to the card and, look at mourning, because just as we shared something around celebration or, empathy, what does it mean to mourn? And this metaphor is about, the grinding stones. So, in the village, you have the grinding stones in which mostly it's the women who sit there turning it, and they put some grains of wheat. And as they turn it between the 2 stones, the wheat becomes flour. So effectively it gets crushed. And Kabir is seen sitting here in this card made by Rajesh Wangad, an artist who lives in a village near my hometown here. Kabir says, Chalti chaki dekh kar diya kabira roye, dui patan ke beech mein sabut bacha na koi. So chaki is the grinding stones, and watching the rotating grinding stones, Kabir cries. There's a sense of despair in certain moments of overwhelm. These days we talk a lot about capacity, and self-care. So again, in those moments, we may find ourselves, in a physical sensation of despair, which could also be very, very difficult. So just acknowledging that I feel it, there are moments of despair. And again, finding some way to, live that in the body, connect with the body, touch that part that needs soothing, holding. Is it my breath right now? Then, I can just by touching it, there is some spaciousness. And then I think, Wendy, you'll take us through the meditation, a short meditation.
I will, yes, I will. And I just want to really speak into that, how painful it is sometimes to be with mourning. It's not like, oh yes, I want to let go and I want to be there. Sometimes it really feels like you are in that mortar and pestle of life. And so that's where really, coming back to a practice that nourishes you, for me it is the mindfulness and the self-empathy practice, but we all have the things that nourish us, whether it's walking in nature, often I will just go and lie on the earth, belly face down, just to feel that sense of being held. When I get that sense of deep mourning or despair at what's going on, it's how do I come home to that moment? I am alive, I am living. So I'd love to hear from a few people. How, what's arising you? I'd love to hear a few people speak this moment. So please just unmute your microphone if you would like to speak. Just say your name.
Hi, so I'm Jo. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you, Jo.
Yeah. So I'd just like to acknowledge when you were offering belonging and mattering to us, I had a really strong response of grief for the times where I haven't felt that, and something about a longing for everybody to feel that in their life, and particularly grief around those that are feeling suicidal. I work supporting people that are suicidal, and I'm aware that suicide rates are really increasing just now with COVID and lockdown, and I just had a really strong sense of sadness for the times where we don't feel belonging and mattering. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Jo. Thank you for naming it. Yeah, for bringing it into this space. Yeah, that strong sense of belonging, connection. And the mourning for, seeing where it's not. And connecting with that mourning. If everybody would be willing to take a sense of community breath here, we are one community. And just breathing a sense of that mourning. Breathing in a sense of belonging. Connection here. Reena, did you want to speak to that? I know Samuel's also got something he'd like to say. I saw Sam's hand go up and I'd love to hear him. And also Ankia. Oh, we can't hear you, Reena.
Oh, I'd like to hear Sam. Sam, would you like to share something?
Thanks,
Please.
Sam.
Yeah.
I was invited to this session with a deep longing to mourn a number of people who've passed, as death and mourning are like a taboo in most African communities. As there is so much perception and view as
Oh, I think we might have lost Sam. I think Sam has been. Oh, there you are. Great, thanks.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
I'm glad you came.
Yeah. As I was saying, death is being perceived as this bad thing, a bad omen, not supposed to be talked about. And when somebody dies, the shock to some of the people is overwhelming, and there is no space to just connect. And so, I don't know. It's really heartbreaking to reflect on it. Yeah. And I'm happy that at least there is that space here.
Yeah.
Sense of really yearning for those honest conversations and sometimes very difficult conversations. Yeah. Thank you, Sam. It's such a really hearing it's in your community, and it's quite prevalent in many communities where we can't have these discussions or difficult conversations. So thank you for bringing it. And I can see a few hands have popped up, so we might keep it really, if you could keep it really concise, it would be wonderful. Ankia.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
I think what really touched me in what you said just now, Wendy, was I want to die so that I may live. Wanting to die before I die. And that's triggered a whole lot of feelings in me of what we've been doing the whole evening, actually. And it's like, in every moment, letting go of whatever might be troubling me or in any way, so I just love those words. So it's going to be like, I want to die before I die.
Thank you, Ankia.
Anyway, I just wanted to, I'm going
you.
to reflect on those words.
Yes, I wouldn't attribute them to me. I know that they've been very much in my death and dying circle work, and many people have spoken them, and the first time I heard them, they really resonated. And when I say letting go, I just want to get really clear that sometimes the letting go can be turning towards the discomfort and turning towards the pain. And it means letting go maybe of any expectation I had or wanting it a different way to how it is. So it is also about, being with the discomfort. I have a physical body that often really challenges me with severe pain. It's not like I can say, okay, I'm going to let go of my pain. But how do I get to be with it in a way that I can die before I die around just being here? So thank you for bringing that up, Ankia. And Abby, I'd love to hear from you. And then Diana.
Thanks, Wendy. I was listening to Sam and what you said, Wendy, and what Reena shared, and then I have something really stirring inside. And my friend lost her mother on Sunday. She was 85 and she passed away and had cancer. And there was a lot of grief and sadness, and then this conversation bit about what do you say, and I didn't call her because I was just with the grief and the sadness and celebrating that we got to say bye 2 weeks ago. And then last night my friend's partner committed suicide, and it's here where I live, and I just don't know what to say and what kind of condolence, what do you share in such moments. And I'm just with this sense of loss and mourning and I just wanted to say that out loud.
Thanks, Abby. I really hear that sense of being a bit at sea. How do we get to be with people, when you're in that sense of like not knowing what to say? And how we bring our quality of presence and care. And Abby, one of the, often when I'm driving to be with people who are dying or where there's been a death in the family, it's again coming back to that sense of self-empathy first. That sense of connecting with what am I telling myself? And it might be I'm telling myself I don't know what to say. And when I tell myself that, how do I feel? I feel helpless and hopeless and scared. And then coming back to that need, that I really hear your needs there to want to connect and to contribute to your friend's life, to her well-being. Did you want to speak to that, Reena? That sense of, how we come into these conversations that often are so difficult because of what we're telling ourselves.
Yeah. And acknowledging, again, that I really don't know what to say. I'm here.
Mm.
I think silent presence.
Mm.
Yeah.
I would have to say silent presence is one of the greatest gifts we can give grieving families, people. There are, just on a very practical level, and someone did mention it in the chat group, there are lots of support groups when we find ourselves in this situation of not knowing what to say or how to be. Really turn to your community. For some it would be people like myself, like death doulas, and get their support so you can support others. Yes, it's and the more we have conversations like this, the more comfortable we get to be with that pain and that difficulty. And not all deaths are easy, so it's also important that we know when we can be there and we know when we can't. Yeah, it's a silent presence. I think we'll just hear from Diana, because we really do need to move on to the next practice. So Diana, I'd love to invite you to speak, if you could keep it really beautifully sweet. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Wendy, I just wanted to say I resonated a lot with what you said before about time before time. Like it's also to stay with these feelings what arise, with these feelings of, let's say, like negative feelings that are not negative, but is how we call them. And like pain or sadness, and really to stay with them. It means we are open to let go the old patterns when we do this. And when I am open to it, these old patterns are dying, and this is very painful. This is how I see it, how I feel it. It's painful because it has been with me for my whole life, perhaps. And let it go and open to the pain. This is not easy, and this is a form of time while living. And another way to die while living for me is when I meditate, because when I go in meditation, it's like I forget all about the world. So it's like I am dying to the world and just be with myself, with my real self. Thank you.
Thank you, Diana. And then how we bring that sense of presence, and the mystic John O'Donoghue talks about, entering into that quiet immensity of presence that's within each of us, and how we bring that back to life. But I think before we go into that part of the thing, we might just do this meditation that I offer in my groups. We're going to do a very short version of it because of the time. But I'd like to again invite you, if you're open to doing that, just to find a comfortable place. And, if things are arising, you might just want to place your hands over your heart. It really helps us to connect back into our bodies, because often we can get quite sort of lost up in our heads. And another one is a trauma hold that the trauma doctor Peter Levine recommends, and it's placing your right hand under your left armpit and your right hand under your left armpit and your left hand around your right shoulder. And it helps us to regulate the body. It doesn't necessarily calm us down, but it just helps us to regulate and to be present. So when that trauma arises, we can just have a means to take hold of ourselves, if you like. And just getting yourself comfortable, so it might mean letting your hands drop or just placing one hand over your heart. And if it feels right for you, just softly closing your eyes and looking away from the screen even. And I think now would be a good time to just honour the sounds that we're hearing, the beautiful birds from Reena's place, and just receiving the sounds that you hear. awareness of your body being really present. Feel where your body touches the chair or the ground. And if you find your mind wandering with thoughts, just noticing that and coming back to the physical body. Not to distract ourselves from the thoughts, but to include the body in this being here. And just taking in a few deep breaths, and as you breathe in, breathing in a sense of life. Sense of presence, awareness of this moment. And as you breathe out, just letting go of any tension in your body and softening the belly. Being aware of the breath. As you breathe in and breathe out. Not trying to achieve anything, rather just being with the breath. Breathing in and breathing out. And becoming aware of the senses. The touch, where your body touches the chair or the back of the chair. Just feeling your feet on the ground. Maybe the quality of air on your face, whether it feels warm or cold. Aware of movement in the body and just the touch that might happen as you gently move. Maybe. An awareness of smell. Your capacity to smell. You might smell things in the room or close to your body. And even though you've got your eyes closed, also connecting with light, the light coming through your eyes. Or maybe it's dark because it's nighttime where you are. But just getting a sense that vision, seeing things, you might see things behind your eyes closed. And then just taking your tongue and licking your lips and licking your teeth and just getting a sense of taste. Sense of the saliva in the mouth and just swallowing. Coming back to the breath. All our senses, nothing to do, nothing to change, but just aware of your senses. And just connecting now to the elements that make our body. Feeling the ground beneath you first, connecting with the earth. Very solid, supporting. And feeling the element of earth in our physicality, the flesh and the bones. And I invite you to softly open your eyes and just look at your hands. Just look to your hands and softly resting your gaze upon them and getting a sense of your hands and just rubbing your fingers together. Just looking at your hands, these beautiful, amazing hands that you can pick up things. And then just letting your hands rest and softly closing your eyes again. And now connecting with the water element within your body. Imagining this beautiful blood flowing through your body. The blood flowing with hormones and proteins and sugar and oxygen, and carrying waste away through your urine, through the feces, through your sweat. Just acknowledging the water elements in your body, all the fluids. And just bringing your attention to your throat and swallowing again, awareness of the saliva in your mouth. Connecting now with the fire energy, the element of fire, which is said to manifest in our body through the organs, through the brain, through the lungs and through the heart. The fire in the body, through the stomach and the intestines, the digestive process. And lastly, coming to the air element, connecting to the breath of life. The breath that nourishes us. Just letting the breath be natural. The air within us, the air between us, that connects us. And lastly, the element of spirit or ether, which is life, which is presence. Some call it divine or universal energy. Some call it God, Holy Spirit. And just resting into that sense of quiet presence. Entering into that quiet immensity of your own spacious presence. The life force that flows through you, through your body. And even as we age or we get sick, and as some of these senses start to change, we may lose our sight, we may lose our hearing, we may lose use of some of the body parts, we may not be able to walk. This life force that moves through us, just connecting with that quality of presence. Just being here. The aliveness of being here. Just observing your body just as it is. The energy moving through your body. Thoughts and feelings just coming and going. Everything you can observe, that you can witness, just coming and going. Sensations in the body. And who is witnessing these changes? Who is witnessing these changes? And again, becoming aware of the breath and the physical body. And just begin to move your body in a way that's comfortable for you. And I'd like to invite you to take your pen and your paper and just write whatever comes to mind. When you hear the question, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? There's no right or wrong answer here. It's just a matter of connecting to what's alive in you in this moment. And if you don't know what to write, just writing again, who am I? Just write the question, who am I? And maybe you draw something. Whatever comes in this moment as you respond. And we'd just like to open up the conversation again. You know, what arises for you as you connect with the breath, the body, the senses, and this question, who am I? So please just unmute yourself and sometimes these are the difficult conversations, to speak to what's alive in us. Maybe it's that you don't know. Maybe it is that you do know. So I'd love to hear from a few people. What's arising in you?
I'll just read what I wrote.
Thank you, Jackie.
So who am I? A lark, a simpleton, glory, learning, yearning for expression. Jackie, cause for concern. Who am I? Suitcases to unpack. Slice open the lining, find the secret message.
Thank you. Thank you, Jackie. Yes, Ruth.
Yeah, I've found myself both feeling my divinity as well as my my mortal self. Yeah, so both at once. You know, I'm a piece of the fabric of God, and a bacteria in the gut of universal awareness. Yeah, and being a daughter, mother, teacher, student, all those things. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Ruth. I'd love to hear from a few more people. Actually, one of the things I heard today in the nature mentoring program by with Elisa and Erin from the Centre for Ecological Learning, and Kate, you can correct me if I get the facts wrong here, but she was saying something like, you know, when we think of connecting with nature, nature is outside of us, and yet we are so nature. We are nature, and there's something like 50% of us is actually made of non-human bits, like the bugs and the things inside us, and all the organisms that are are non-human, all the gut flora. So it's quite an extraordinary fact. So who am I if 50% of me is non-human? These are the sort of contemplations we can live into, which may at first seem scary, but as we befriend death by having these conversations, we start to celebrate and get into that connection with life. So unless anybody else has this, I'd love to hear from a few more people, but if it's not going to come forth, that's really understandable. Otherwise I'll hand over to Reena. Who am I?
Yeah, from that space, of this inquiry, which is ongoing. Who am I? And knowing, not knowing, I guess all this helps us to get a sense of friendship, of companionship, if not friendship, with ourselves and our life. And from that space, I wanted to complete that the couplet around the grinding stone, which Kabir says further that chaki chaki sab kahe, kili kahe na koi, jo kili se laga rahe, wako bal na baka hoye. Everyone moans about the grinding stone of life, in bracket, like a metaphor, right? So of the grinding, the daily grinding and churning of life. No one mentions, or seldom we mention, the central pivot. Those moments of wholesomeness that we experience, we do. The one who remains close to the pivot will be unharmed and whole. So at the end of the day, what is safety? What is security? It's a sense of safety. So, when we imagine this mortar and pestle or the grinding stones and the grain that falls in, and some grains fall close to the central pivot. And when you're cleaning up and bringing the flour into a vessel, we notice some grains are whole. I think Kabir would have been a spiritual scientist. The observation is so precise and straightforward, simple, that if I fall close to the pivot, no harm can come to me. And yes, many times I was earlier in Jiva and Catherine's session on showing up, in the space of change, of demanding change from a protective use of force. How do I go with a sense of, I am unharmed and whole? So this, and in this image also, there is a sense that Kabir in another one says, another couplet, that Bhala hua mori gagri phuti, main paniya bharan se chuti, more tan se. So anything, let us die to our habits. And here you see the same woman liberated, making new choices, Yeah. Are you able to hear me, Wendy?
I think I just got a loss of internet for a short
Yeah.
moment. We disappeared
Yeah,
into that land of
Yeah.
dying before I die.
Yeah.
And I really would love to stay online because we've got one more beautiful chant that we,
Yes,
but
yes,
one more
just
bhajan
15.
that we'd like to share with you before we go. And I'm just
Yeah.
going to, I'd just love to read a couple of things from the chat around. Ankya says, I am the witness of my experience. I am the witness of my experience, moment to moment, ever changing, still at the center. And there was another, there's so many beautiful ones here. And this is what I love about when we start to come into this space of entering into that quiet, and I keep using these words from John O'Donoghue, this quiet immensity of our own presence. And Abby writes, who am I? Ripe flesh and strong bones. Ripe flesh and strong bones. Vibrant light and energy of creativity with a zest for living, a kaleidoscopic burst of multi-sensorial gifts and experiences. And then Reena, you wrote, I'm a breath that senses reconnection with self at sunrise and sunset. These moments that we have to keep leaning into this source of energy within us, amongst this life that just comes and goes and comes and goes. The session we're working on at the moment is, being with our ancestors and leaning into that knowing that one day we too will become an ancestor. So this next bhajan that we'd like to share with you, and if you'd like to put up the slide, Reena.
I'll do that. And in this, with this section, we are going, I can imagine, but I just want to name it. We're embracing life,
With a fullness and a sense of, yes, it can be really difficult at times. I really hear that sometimes life brings us excruciating stories and challenges, and that quality of presence that we can bring even to those moments. And one of the things is really practicing when life is going well for us, by coming to things like this, by building community, by engaging in groups that want to have these hard and difficult conversations. So this next bhajan, when Reena first sent this bhajan across, when we first decided we would do something together, she sent me this, and I could not stop playing it. It just resonated deeply within my spirit. The swan will fly away alone. The swan will fly away alone. The spectacle of this world, a carnival. like a leaf falls from a tree and can't be found again. Who knows where it will come to rest? Blown away by a gust of wind, the swan will fly away alone. And I think why this speaks to me so deeply is I have had an experience where a near-death experience, and when I collapsed, this song came to me that I had been singing every day for quite a long time, and it meant a lot to me. And there was this experience of watching the world like a you know, people say, oh, your life flashes before you. Well, it really did. That was my experience. I watched my life, you know, just like something going before me. And the quality of peacefulness that I lent into and the sense of presence really inspired me to go into this work deeper. And who knows where this life goes? We can all have our ideas and beliefs. So I think we should listen to that now. I'll just, whoops.
Yeah, I wanted to add, Wendy, that, you know, going back to the fabric of life and how Kabir also was given the same fabric, the same birth, the same life force. And it's said that he lived to be 100 years. And at the time of death, you know, there's a the imagery that he left the cloth as is, you know. So the swan is our soul. It's a journey back home. It's not a lonely journey. It is, yes, we go alone. It's not a lonely journey because there is a celebration in that moment that I'm going back home. This was a visit to a carnival in this world. I made the most of it. And now I'm going back home to unite with the source. So yes, so Kabir, "Jyon ki tyon dhar dini, Chadariya, Jheeni re Jheeni." So I get some, you know, immense sense of I am Kabir in that moment. And I want to not doubt that. It's true, I am Kabir. And so are you. So really, let's hear this song from that space of embracing life, walking with life. And yeah, I'll just play it. But if there's anything that anybody would like to share while the song comes up, please do share. What's coming up for you?
Can you see my screen now, Reena?
I can. Thank you.
Let's see if we've got some sound.
Chadariya.
We'll go back to the other one.
Yeah. Do you have the other one, Wendy, or shall I play it?
Sorry, I thought I had it all lined up.
Shall I play it?
Seems to have disappeared from my setup, so I'll just have to go in and open it up. Sorry.
I can play it, Wendy.
Okay, here we go.
उड़ जाएगा उड़ जाएगा उड़ जाएगा हंस अकेला उड़ जाएगा हंस अकेला जगदर्शन का मेला जगदर्शन का मेला उड़ जाएगा हंस अकेला उड़ जाएगा दर्शन का मेला, जग दर्शन का मेला। जैसे पात गिरे तरवर के, जैसे पात गिरे तरवर के, मिलना बहुत दुहेरा, मिलना बहुत दुहेरा। ना जानू किधर गिरेगा, ना जानू किधर गिरेगा। लग गया पवन का रेला, उड़ जाएगा, उड़ जाएगा, उड़ जाएगा। हंस अकेला उड़ जाएगा। आ, 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 उड़ जाएगा। हंस अकेला, जग दर्शन का मेला, जग दर्शन का मेला।
Another collective breath. Sense the subtlety and the magic of life as we live it in each moment. Is there anything that anyone would like to share after hearing the song? Just noticing your silent presence. There's no need for words. Any gesture, anything that you want to hold yourself, your life, and see what needs are met by being here with all of us. You want to name the need or you want to put it in chat, any insight. We have a few more minutes together to inspire each other, to support each other in moments of grief and celebration, all of life. Let's embrace it all. Yeah. Connection, hope, beauty, appreciation, openness. Yeah, open to life. Care. Connection with the infinite. Yes. Thank you very much. You know, when I touched this wisdom, when I was touched by it, I thought I need to I need to bring it to the world. And I was able to, I'm not an artist or I am an action-oriented person, and this is what emerged. I truly can't say that I created it, but I went to the folk musicians in their village, and I went to the village of the Varli artist near my hometown. Even Jackie lives in that area, and created this toolkit with inside cards and music and journal, reflection journal. So yeah, it's all there.
Mm.
It's been well received. So I'm very grateful sharing this with you. Thank you for being here. And yeah, we'd love to connect with you and continue our journey together, supporting each other, celebrating our lives, and befriending death. Yeah, not forgetting that part. So we may live fully. Yes. So thank you very much, Wendy.
Yes, thank you.
All
Yes,
yours.
beautiful to be here. And one of the joys in my life is talking about death, and it's interesting how much more active it's made me, how much more of an activist it's made me from a very different place that I come from. So yeah, really celebrating that. The more I've dived into death, the more I embrace life. So thank you everyone for being here, honouring that presence and celebration together. And thank you, Reena, and also thank you to Kate behind the scenes there, holding the energy for us all.